Okay, let's get started then. So the purpose of this training is how to set up your home and office to avoid back and neck pain. Now that is particularly important during this period of coronavirus, where we're all in lockdown. This is week 3 of lockdown. We're on the 13th of April, and everybody now is working from home a lot more. They're doing a lot more of these video calls. They're getting used to working at home. And this picture of the kids and the laptop is not an unusual sight in this house. We're equally as guilty of this as you are, because we're all trying to adapt and establish this. But this is really, really important if you're doing full-time job from home and you're working the same hours as you would do normally. Then having the right setup can really prevent you from developing back or neck problems, as well as a few other conditions which we'll touch on today. So it's really, really important, and it's crucial for us going forward that we understand how to set up our desk properly so that we can minimise the impact it has on our bodies. So why? A large part of our days are obviously spent in sedentary positions and in front of a computer, and it's essential that if you're going to be sitting at a computer for that length of time, that you want to minimise the risk. Long periods of sitting can increase compression forces on our joints and our discs and place strain upon our ligaments and our soft tissues. And ultimately, that's what we want to minimise. We want to minimise those compression forces, and we want to minimise the strain in the body and maximise the blood supply and oxygen to the tissues so that we don't get any problems over the longer term, because this lockdown and working from home setup could go on for not just another week or 2 weeks. It might be 4 or 5 weeks. It might even be months. And working from home might become a much more normal part of your normal daily life. So it's important that you have a home setup and a desk setup, workspace setup, which then minimises all these big problems. And this can be applied to your office as soon as you go back into your normal routine as well. So the same theories will apply. So let's just become aware of it, and let's understand how that can impact on musculoskeletal disorders, and how it can help. Okay. So it's not always musculoskeletal injuries and disorders are not always related to one particular incident. You don't have to wait for that one moment where everything just clicks and you know that, oh, I've done something to my back or I've done something to my neck. Usually with these things, it's a slow burner. It's a position you're adopting. It's this force, low level of force over a long period of time, over hours, over weeks, over months, over years, over a career. That's when you tend to get longer term problems, and that's when people put up with the pain for a little bit of time, and then that little bit of time thinking, oh, that'll go away, that'll ease off, it's only a little grumble, I'll not seek anything about that just now. That thing disappears maybe for a few weeks, and it comes back again, and it gets more frequent, and then it gradually starts to build, and then they seek help when they're months or years down the line, and it's a little bit harder to unravel the whole process. So common complaints are low back pain, number 1, neck pain, number 2, hand and wrist systems, arm and shoulder pain, and pain in the middle part of your back. They're the 5 most common issues that we have from having a poor desk setup, and that's what we're going to look to address and minimise today. So where do we start? Well, first of all, you need to know your injury history, i.e. do you have back pain before you even start? Is this already a problem for you? Is this a problem that's going to compound another injury? Have you had a traumatic injury to your back or your neck from a sporting injury, a car accident, a fall? What is your particular injury history? Because it's important we factor that in and we understand how that behaves. So let's be aware of what your own body's like. Or are we dealing with a completely pain-free body, completely injury-free history, and therefore we don't need to make any adaptations? We're just purely in injury prevention mode. What is your past medical history? That's also really important. So we need to know Are you normally very fit and active? Are you normally very healthy? Have you had any surgeries for anything else? Is there anything we need to make allowances for? And that will then have an impact on what medication you're taking as well. Vision is obviously important when you're looking at a screen for such a long period of time, and eyesight and having your eye tested regularly, i.e. every 2 years, is free on NHS, and we strongly recommend that you do that. That should be something that you do as soon as we get back, if that's not something you're getting done regularly. If you do have a prescription, then we really do encourage you to wear your contact lenses or your glasses when you're looking at screens for a long period of time all day. So get your eye test and understand what your current physical activity levels are. We really, really strongly want to minimise the impact of sedentary lifestyles. People who are desk-based workers are really at risk of developing all these low back pain, neck pain, wrist issues, shoulder issues, middle back issues, and the only way we can really significantly reduce that is if we have good physical activity levels. I.e., what we're really wanting is 1 hour a day can unravel 8 hours of sitting. Now, we know that's not likely going to be your level, but that's what the research shows. So for every 8 hours of sitting, you really need 1 hour of vigorous activity to unravel that and get you back to a neutral place. Otherwise, really what we're looking for is minimum level is 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise a week, plus some strength and conditioning, plus some flexibility work to really keep you fit, healthy, and prevent these issues developing. So what are your current physical activity levels? What are your current sports? And do they then potentially contribute to this as well? I.e., you sit a lot and then your sport of choice is cycling, more sitting in a much more aggressive flexion position, shorter hamstrings, shorter hip flexors, more rounded lower back, extension into the neck, wrist and arm gripping the brakes. So we need to really think about okay, what is your sport of choice, what is your activity, and how can we make sure we maximise the performance of your body for your sport and reduce your injury risk at home, work, and during your exercise of choice. So what is ergonomics and what is the perfect desk setup? Well, it means fitting the task and the equipment and the environment to the person, and not the person trying to adapt towards the desk or the chair or the computer. So it enables people to work at an optimal capacity because they're more comfortable and they can perform better for longer periods of time. We're all different shapes and sizes, so it's important to know how to adapt the environment to meet individual needs. And we often adapt to fit the home office rather than vice versa, particularly at home. This is even more relevant at home because we tend to just adapt to the current desk that we have, the current laptop we have. We don't usually think about it as a prescribed workspace. And from that first decision of deciding not to make it a workspace, we then don't set it up properly and everything else falls in. So this is all about taking time to ensure that your home office is set up correctly for you. And this is particularly important when you're home working, even more important now that we're in lockdown. So our aim is for a neutral posture as much as possible. This is exactly how not to do it. And this is unfortunately how we find so many people working from home. So what is a neutral posture? Well, good posture is essential to reduce the injury risk. Poor posture increases your risk of developing an injury. And neutral posture minimises the stresses and strains on the joints, muscles and ligaments. And that's what we're just trying to do. We're trying to minimise your risk of injury. So we want to adjust your workstation to achieve as close to neutral as we possibly can. You may currently be unaware. Sometimes you may currently be symptom free, but that is the time you want to make sure that you optimise your desk setup so that they don't start to develop gradually over time. If you just think, I don't have pain, I'm going to take it for granted that I'm okay, well, you're running a risk there. And as long as you're aware of that risk, then that's fine. But let's just take sensible decisions, informed decisions, and make small changes to try and make sure that you don't have any symptoms in the future, rather than just ignoring your current posture or your current working posture. So examples of poor posture are sitting slumped in a chair, sitting on the edge of a chair, stretching to use your keyboard or mouse, leaning in one arm and poking your chin forward while working, or cradling a phone between your neck and shoulder. So that's the sort of 5 things you really want to avoid, because that increases the stress in your lower back, it increases the muscle activity in your back, places stress on your arm, shoulder, neck, and can create pressure points where there's going to be clear discomfort within the muscles. Okay. So how do we set it up? What do we have to do? Well, ideally, obviously, we want to make sure it's in front of you, directly in front of you. We don't want a particularly curved desk. This can become a problem where people start to sit in a rotated position for long periods. So we want to minimize that rotation, that torque, that force, okay? We want the top of the screen at eye level, and we want the monitor approximately an arm's length away, okay, which is about 50 to 70 centimetres. That's what the recommended guidelines are. If you're somebody who's well prepped and you have multiple monitors, well, then you obviously need to make sure that both computers are the same height. Which one do you spend the most amount of time at? Analyse the tasks that you do the most frequently. I.e., are you a copywriter? Do you type lots? Are you a designer who uses a mouse lots? Are you somebody who does a lot of video calls, or where you should maybe be thinking about headsets and monitors, or do you use your mobile phone a lot? These are all things we really need to work with. But if you've got 2 monitors, make sure that equal distance apart, make sure that you know which one you spend most amount of time with. Make that your primary monitor straight ahead to avoid twisting, and then move your chair to face the second monitor when you can. So a rotational chair is usually quite good, but make sure that they're the same height, make sure that the fonts are the same size, make sure that the display settings are the same, and keep it in equilibrium as much as possible. With your keyboard, we want that directly in front of you. We don't want to twist and stretch, so it should be in front of you and then in front of the monitor, not in front of you with the monitor slightly to the left or slightly to the right. We want the space between the keyboard and the edge of the desk to be approximately 10 centimetres so that there's not too much room and then you don't stretch too much. We want your arms to be in line with the trunk when you're using a keyboard, and if you're using it for writing, we want to be able to have space where you can move your keyboard out of the way so you can do more writing. But essentially we want to make sure your forearms are nice and supported when you're typing, and your arms not overextended from the shoulder. So you want your wrists floating slightly above the keyboard. We don't want them on a rest all the time, and the rest is there for rest periods, okay? It's not something that supports the wrist throughout the whole time when you're typing. Again, the mouse should be the same distance away as the keyboard, approximately 10 centimetres. And again, you still want to have your hand in your arm in a neutral position. You want to have access towards your dominant side, and remove it from your mouse when you're not using it. But try to use the keyboard and shortcuts within the keyboard as much as possible. So what are the essentials? The essentials are the monitor's the right distance away, the eyes are in the top third of the screen, your ear is in line with your shoulders are nice and relaxed, your arms are supported, your elbow is in sort of approximately 90 degrees, your hips are at 90 degrees, your knees are at 90 degrees, and your ankles are at 90 degrees. So usually that means that you need a back support to adjust as much as possible. We usually recommend that you have something like this, like a nice sort of D-shaped cushion with a little bit of memory foam, nice and supported. We use these a lot in the clinic. And that's really to make sure that the lower back is really well supported. Thighs are supported in a nice position, and a footrest if required. So that's the designed, the desirable setup. So you want sufficient space on the desk setup for a flexible working space. You want to dictate the space to adjust towards you rather than you adjusting towards the space. Remember that all the time. Have your zone, have your area where you want to work, make it a protected space. Make sure it's clear, make sure it's professional, make sure it's the same way you'd have it offer. Declutter, create the right working environment for you to focus so that you get much better quality work done, and arrange it to suit your own requirements, i.e. what is the most dominant tasks that you do, and they are the tasks that you want to really focus on. The chair is probably the single most important thing that you should have in your office. Make sure your chair gives you the support. Don't be using just a bog standard dining room table chair, or even worse, a kitchen stool. We want to make sure that things are adjustable within that, i.e. you've got adjustable armrests, your feet are flat on the floor, you can adjust the height of the chair, you can modify it, it can rotate if you need it to rotate, you've got a lumbar support if you need that, but we want to make sure that, one, that you can adjust things to adapt towards you and towards what you want it to do, i.e. be able to adjust the height, be able to adjust the back support, and be able to adjust the arms. And make sure you've got as much support into the thighs as you can. So we don't want to slump into it. We don't want this arm being extended in this direction like this, and we don't want to be slumped. We want to be sitting. Don't want to be sitting too far away from the desk. We want to be sitting nice and close in, the legs supported, nice angle. The ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, and the elbow, wrist, all neutral. We don't want to have this extended arm position because we're sitting too far away, even though your legs may appear to be supported. You're not getting enough support at the back of the thigh. Phone should obviously be placed close by. Headset should be using it, as I mentioned, if you're using prolonged use, at the same time as using the telephone, or if you're doing a lot of these video calls, then that would be really recommended. Now, when we're getting into the workspace and how do you minimise your chances of risk of injury, then really we want to make sure that we have frequent breaks, micro breaks, to break up the prolonged periods of sitting, especially if you're working your longer hours. Exercise can be really, really useful, so get out and exercise at lunchtime if you can, get some fresh air, get some daylight, get some vitamin D, set up reminders, wee prompts occasionally, just flash up on your screen, or use wee post-its around the edge just to remind you, I've got kick in the posture, but always try and take your break away from the desk. Have your lunch, have your meals, have your coffee away from the desk. Cut down your screen time if you can, and then apply the 20-20 rule. And the 20-20 rule is something that we always encourage everybody who uses display screens for a long period of time to protect their eyesight, and that is to look 20 feet away for 20 seconds and track that movement. Okay, so every 20 minutes, look 20 feet away for 20 seconds. That's all we're asking. Every 20 minutes, can you spare 20 seconds of your time to look 20 minutes away and maybe trace around a window, trace a pattern on a wall or wallpaper, look out the window, whatever you can, but just try and look away from the monitor and change your eyesight focus from, rather than just being sort of shorter focus to a longer focus again. Make sure the eyes don't get too tired. Control the controllables, particularly with your environment. Make sure your lighting's okay. Make sure the room temperature is okay. Make sure the noise is appropriate and professional. Make sure you've got room to change position if you need to. Make sure the screen resolution's okay. Make sure you've got the right software for the tasks that you're doing. Make sure your internet speed's okay. Make sure the text and the image size and the clarity and the stability of the screen meets the work that you're trying to do, particularly if you're doing it for a long period of time. And then finally, do some gentle exercises to keep things moving and to avoid things tightening up. These are just a sample of sort of 5 exercises, but if you have a particular issue or if you have other things going on, then you really want to factor that in and get a more personalised, bespoke plan in place, and that's something we can talk to you about on a one-to-one basis. If you've got an injury history, then that's something you want to be really concerned about. If not, just doing maybe these 5 exercises, because that deals with your neck, and deals with your lower back, it deals with your chest, deals with your elbows and forearms, and it's a nice wee sort of basic one that should only take you sort of 5 minutes to do. It's something for you to sort of work through and work towards, and just work into that tightness. Do nice deep breathing and just change your position a little bit, change your posture. Always remember that the most important posture is your next one. There's no particular posture that's strictly really, really bad. It's poor posture over a long period of time, i.e. not moving, is usually the biggest problem. So we want you to move as much as possible. So if you can do these wee stretching exercises whenever you're on a call, or if you're listening to a meeting, you can do something active to change up your position, then do that. Change your position if you can. Particularly if you're using headsets, stand up, move, have a wee stretch. Make the most of the ability you have from working from home, because there's advantages to working from home as well as disadvantages, obviously. So what we really want to avoid is these scenarios. Okay, overextended laptop on the dining room table, crouched over a phone, leaning on the desk, all sorts of problems. Fighting with the kids is obviously something that's going to always happen, but it's good, it helps. And then aim for this. This is your sort of go-to desirable. This is what the image you should have in your head when you're starting to plan how your home office looks. Like additional equipment, if you need any, obviously come and speak to us. We can advise and guide you and put you in the right direction. Depending on what your needs are, it depends a lot on your budget and how long you're going to be doing this. But the most important thing is your chair. The chair's got to be right for you, and you're going to spend a lot of time in your chair over the next few weeks. So make sure you've got a good support. Make sure it's set up properly. Prioritize yourself, look after yourself, control the controllables, because this is for your own benefit. And if you're healthy, you can get more work done. If you're more comfortable, you can get more work done. If you're not in pain, you're not as distracted. So let's prevent all these things. Prevent low back pain, prevent neck pain, prevent wrist and shoulder pain, and prevent middle back pain as well, and improve your health, minimise your risk injury. That's what we want. And then obviously, working from home has other challenges in terms of just being organised and being productive. So we found this nice wee article which we thought might be quite useful for you as well. So you can have a wee read at that, and hopefully that will help make you more productive in your comfortable office environment as well. And if you need a personalised plan, we're more than happy to help. We're still available for treatments. We're treating a lot of people now with video calls, video assessments. We've been doing that for a while, particularly with our international athletes and people who work in oil rigs and such like, who work offshore. So we're now doing a lot more of these video appointments, and the real benefit of that is it stops people from worrying about not doing the right thing. It prevents people from going backwards during this period and making things worse. And it stops people from undoing all the good work that they've done. So we're able to identify what's going on, what the problem is. We talk you through any wee tests that we need you to do. We still get the same information that we get in the clinic, and we're still able to design you personalised treatment plans which are effective and get you the outcome you want to get, i.e. getting back to activity, not being in pain, being able to sleep more comfortably at night, and not worrying about your pain as much. That's primarily what we can do. And you've still got the same one-to-one discussions with your physio where you can understand what's going on and ask any questions and make sure that what we're doing is specific for you and perfect for your problem. We've also got these 2 ebooks that we've put together just to try and share positive information a little bit more. So as a thank you for coming on this presentation today, we'll send you a free wee copy of both of them, just to try and make sure that you've got access to good information that you can trust and reliable. There's loads of stuff on the internet, some of it's great, some of it's not so great. There's no real filter there. So what we've tried to do is pull it together and put it into language that makes sense for you as well. So if you still need help, we're still here for you. We're available online. Can still get you better, still get you back to enjoying a pain-free life during lockdown. We can still make sure you enjoy being active when the sun is shining, as it is today, which is good. Long may that continue. So if you need a personalised treatment plan, or if you need an injury prevention plan, then get in touch and we can help. Okay, so thanks very much for your time today, and stay safe, everybody. Look after yourself. Bye.